combination may be found on the last benches of the classroom. Hello all, with this inspirational quote. Topic for today is determinants of GFR. You will be able to list the various hydrostatic and the colloid pressures which are acting across the glomerulus. The ability to explain the mechanism of glomerular filtration will be clear. You can describe the determinants of the glomerular filtration and also list the various factors that affect glomerular filtration. And of course, we will have some pathological variations towards the end of the topic. Moving on to another important aspect of glomerular filtration, that is determination of glomerular filtration. What are the determinants of glomerular filtration? As you all know that filtration will always occur across the glomerulus whenever there will be a pressure difference across the filtration membrane. So, as filtration occurs as and any other capillary systems, even in the renal system, the filtration rate will depend upon a balance of the Starling forces. And I hope you remember the Starling forces, which includes the hydrostatic forces and the colloid forces which are acting across the glomerular filtration membrane. So you can see here in this diagram that the glomerular filtration membrane is acted upon by the pressures which are the hydrostatic pressure, outward pressures, and there are certain inward pressures. Outward forces will push the fluid out from the glomerulus into the Bowman space, and the inward forces will try to prevent the entry of fluid into the Bowman space. So this is the Bowman space. The outward forces includes the hydrostatic forces of the glomerulus as well as the pulling force of the Bowman's capillary colloid. On the other hand, the inward forces include the colloid forces in the arteries or in the capillaries. Okay, I will be going into the details soon. Just first let me tell you what actually GFR mathematically can be defined as the Kf into net filtration pressure. Again, a very important thing to remember, where net filtration pressure refers to a balance of the hydrostatic forces and the colloid forces acting across the capillary membrane. Now here I am introducing you to a new term, that is the filtration fraction. Just remember that filtration fraction is equal to the GFR upon RPF, that is glomerular filtration rate upon renal plasma flow, and its value is approximately 0.15 to 0.20. And it refers to the fraction of renal plasma that is being filtered at a particular moment. So at a particular moment, how much plasma is getting filtered is referred to as the filtration fraction. So first we will be talking about the outward and the inward forces. You can see here in this diagram that the glomerular hydrostatic pressure is the pressure because of the fluid content of the capillaries. The fluid content of the capillaries will exert a hydrostatic pressure, and this pressure will be directed outwards. That means it will favor filtration. The presence of proteins in the glomerular capillaries will create a colloid osmotic pressure, and the osmotic pressure is always a pulling pressure. So it will try to prevent the filtration, or it will try to oppose filtration. The presence of fluid in the Bowman's capsule will create a Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure, and a fluid pressure in the Bowman's capsule, the hydrostatic pressure here, will prevent the filtration of fluid. So it will retard filtration. And we can see here that therefore GFR is equal to Kf, which is a constant. I will be talking about it soon. Kf with the net filtration pressure multiplied by net filtration pressure, and this net filtration pressure can be equated by this particular equation, which shows that the hydrostatic pressure at the glomerular capillary minus hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman space. So that means we have got two hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure in the glomerular capillary will promote filtration, whereas hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman space will retard filtration. This minus colloid pressure in the glomerular capillaries will inhibit filtration, minus colloid pressure in the Bowman space, which will support filtration. So GFR can be defined by this net equation, Kf into net filtration pressure, where net filtration pressure is the outcome of these various pressures. So these are the four pressures which are acting. For all purposes, the pi Bs, that is Bowman space colloid osmotic pressure, is taken to be 0 because colloid pressure is basically because of the proteins, and as I had already told you that proteins are not filtered into the Bowman space. So for all reasons we take this pressure to be 0. So net effective pressures are the upper three pressures, and pi Bs does not carry much significance. Now, what is glomerular capillary filtration coefficient, or Kf? It is a constant which depends on the surface area of the glomerular capillaries and their functionality. So basically, glomerular capillary filtration coefficient is the coefficient which defines the ability of the capillaries to filter the fluid, and this ability is dependent on their permeability as well as their surface area. Whenever the Kf is high, whenever the surface area for filtration is high, the glomerular capillaries will contribute to rapid fluid filtration. So therefore, from the formula we can say that Kf, or the filtration coefficient, is equal to GFR upon net filtration pressure, and the value is 12.5 ml per minute per mmHg of the filtration pressure. So any condition which is affecting the surface area of the glomerular capillaries, or which is causing thickening of the membranes of the glomerular capillaries, those two conditions will lead to decrease in the Kf, because Kf depends on the permeability and the surface area. Like conditions of hypertension or diabetes mellitus, which are characterized by thickening of the glomerular basement membrane, these two conditions are going to decrease the Kf. Or any condition which is characterized by the damage to the glomerular capillary, like various glomerulonephritis, which reduces the average surface area of the glomerular capillary, the Kf will be reduced. Then Kf can also be altered by the mesangial cells. Mesangial cells are the cells which are present in between the glomerular capillaries, and these cells have the capability of contraction and relaxation. So those factors which causes contraction of the mesangial cells will cause decrease in the Kf, because they will, whenever the mesangial cells will contract, they will try to compress the glomerular capillaries, thus reducing their surface area. On the other hand, whenever the mesangial cells will relax, they will increase the surface area of the glomerular capillaries. So amongst the factors, angiotensin 2 is a very important factor to remember, and among the factors which causes relaxation, it is important to remember the ANP, PGE2 and cyclic AMP. Okay. So here again, just to show you that this is just a line diagram which will show the hydrostatic pressure. This is the glomerular capillary at the afferent end, and this is the glomerular capillary at the efferent end. Okay? Now, whenever the fluid will pass from the afferent arteriole to the efferent arteriole, you will see that the fluid will get filtered. The fluid will get filtered as it will pass from the afferent end of the glomerular capillary to the efferent end. So therefore, when the fluid will keep on filtering, ultimately after a distance, what will happen? The fluid content of the glomerular capillary will decrease. This will result in the increase in the colloids towards the efferent end, and as a result of which the colloid pressure, glomerular capillary colloid pressure, will increase towards the efferent side, and it will be lesser on the afferent side. This is because of the filtration of the fluid leading to the concentration of the plasma proteins to increase and leading to increase in the glomerular capillary colloid pressure. However, there is a little change in the hydrostatic pressure from the afferent side to the efferent side. And the value for the Bowman's space hydrostatic pressure is just 10 millimeters of mercury. So different values are presented in different books. For you can follow any book for the values, but I am giving you the values from Ganov. Because Guyton is giving you different values. So we can see here the outward forces, that is hydrostatic pressure, is 45 on the afferent side, and on the efferent side it is 44. The Bowman's space colloid pressure, pi represents the colloid pressure. This pressure is taken to be 0, as I told you that the proteins are not getting filtered. So in the Bowman's space the colloid pressure is almost negligible. So you can see here the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space, because of the fluid in the Bowman's space, is 10. So it will oppose filtration, therefore it is taken as the inward force. And the colloidal pressure, because of the plasma proteins in the glomerular capillaries. This is glomerular capillary colloid pressure, which is 25 mm of Hg, and it is the pressure which will oppose filtration, and the value is 25 mm of Hg. But towards the efferent side, you can see towards the efferent side, the glomerular capillary colloid pressure has increased to 34. Why? Because of the filtration of the fluid and concentration of the plasma proteins getting increased. So by filling all these values, the net filtration pressure on the afferent side, as the fluid passes from afferent end to the efferent end, the net filtration pressure on the afferent side comes out to be 10 mm of Hg. So the net filtration pressure is 10 mm of Hg, which shows there is filtration of fluid. However, on the efferent side, you can see that the net filtration pressure will become 0. So no fluid will be filtered on the efferent side. And this, by putting all these values, we can calculate the GFR. The GFR value can finally be calculated as 125 ml per minute. Alright, now talking about the determinants one by one. So first we talked about the Kf, that is the filtration coefficient. Now moving on to the second very important pressure which is affecting the GFR is the glomerular capillary colloid hydrostatic pressure, not colloid, sorry, hydrostatic pressure, and it is basically the primary mean of regulating GFR. This pressure is basically determined by arterial pressure, afferent arteriolar resistance, and efferent arteriolar resistance. So three factors are determining the glomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure. Glomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure is a determinant of GFR, and this determinant of GFR is getting affected by the arterial pressure, afferent arteriolar resistance, and efferent arteriolar resistance. So we'll be talking about how these three factors are affecting glomerular hydrostatic pressure one by one. Another thing to note here is that the pressure in glomerular capillaries is higher because of these three particular reasons. Now, how the arterial pressure is affecting glomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure. You can see that whenever there is increase in the arterial pressure, increase in the arterial pressure will be reflected directly in the increase in the renal arterial pressure, and whenever the renal arterial pressure will increase, it will lead to increase in the glomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure. Or reverse, we can say that whenever there is decrease in the mean arterial pressure, it will reflect in the decrease in the renal arterial pressure. And whenever the renal arterial pressure will decrease, the pressure in the glomerular capillaries will also decrease, leading to decrease in the hydrostatic pressure of the glomerular capillaries. And when the hydrostatic pressure in the glomerular capillary will decrease, obviously the GFR is going to decrease. But this is auto-regulatory mechanism, and it ranges between the pressure range of 80 to 200 only. Beyond these ranges, the effectivity is very less. Next important factor is the afferent arteriolar resistance. Resistance of the afferent arteriole. Now, how it is affecting the GFR? Just imagine whenever the resistance of the afferent arteriole is the arteriole which is bringing blood to the glomerulus. Whenever the resistance in the afferent arteriole will increase, it will decrease the amount of renal blood flow, and therefore the amount of blood which is reaching the glomerulus will decrease, thus leading to decrease in the hydrostatic pressure in the glomerulus. So we can easily remember this thing that whenever there is decrease in the hydrostatic pressure in the glomerulus, GFR is going to decrease. So this thing can be brought about by the various vasoconstrictors and increasing the sympathetic activity, which will cause vasoconstriction in the renal afferent arteriole. Now, third thing is the efferent arteriolar resistance. Efferent arterial resistance is a magician. Efferent arteriole is having a biphasic effect. The effect will vary on the basis of the degree of resistance. If the resistance in the efferent arteriole is moderate, that means if the efferent arteriole is constricted to a moderate degree, what will happen? This will increase the resistance to the outflow from the glomerular capillaries. Okay. So if there is constriction of the efferent arteriole to a moderate degree, to such a degree that it is not completely obstructing the outflow, what will happen? The blood will move out of the glomerular capillaries into the efferent arteriole, but with the flow rate will decrease. Outflow of from the glomerular capillary will decrease, as a result of which the blood will keep on collecting in the glomerular capillary, and it will slowly move out of the efferent artery. In such a case, it will raise the hydrostatic pressure in the glomerular capillary, and whenever the hydrostatic pressure will rise, GFR will increase. Alright, I hope I am clear with this thing. So, this has to be remembered that as long as the increase in the resistance is not affecting the renal blood flow too much, the constriction of moderate degree will increase GFR. But what will happen if the efferent arteriolar resistance is of a significant degree? Now let's see the next situation where there is a severe constriction of the efferent arteriole. Now the constriction is severe, and I am talking about efferent arteriole. Now just imagine there is a severe constriction of the efferent arteriole. The outflow of the blood is totally hampered. This will cause a back flow effect, back pressure effect, and what will happen if the constriction is so severe that efferent arteriole is almost collapsed? This will ultimately going to affect the renal blood flow, though fresh blood will not be able to come, leading to the stagnation of the blood into the glomerular capillary, which has no forward pathway and no fresh blood from the renal blood flow supply. And thus what will happen? This blood which is getting collected in the glomerular capillary will be filtered to its maximum extent, and so we can say that filtration fraction will increase. Filtration fraction is the amount of plasma which is getting filtered per unit time. So that filtered fraction will increase, and with the increase in the filtration fraction, what will happen? Or whatever fluid which can filter across the glomerula will be filtered out, thus leaving just the proteins inside the glomerular capillary towards its efferent end and raising the glomerular colloid pressure. Just remember this thing, very important to understand. You can go through it again and again. Now the glomerular colloid pressure will increase because of the retention of the protein, and when the glomerular colloid pressure will increase, glomerular osmotic pressure will increase. This osmotic pressure will always inhibit the filtration. So net force of filtration will decrease, and finally this will lead to decrease in the GFR. So here in this diagram you can see very clearly it is mentioned here that when the efferent arteriolar resistance becomes very high, the flow of blood will be obstructed, leading to collection and the pooling of the blood in the glomerular space. This is the glomerular space, and the fluid will keep on filtering initially to such an extent that all the fluid is filtered out, leading to just retention of large amount of plasma proteins in this area, raising the glomerular colloid pressure. And once the glomerular colloid pressure increases, it will colloid pressure always have a pulling effect. Osmotic pressure is always a pulling pressure. It will prevent any kind of filtration, so filtration will not and GFR will decrease. So I hope I am clear to all of you now. Just have a look at this slide once again, which is showing three different segments, that is the afferent arteriole, capillary and the efferent arteriole. And whenever there is decrease in the hydrostatic pressure, this is a decrease in the hydrostatic pressure because of the increase in the afferent arteriolar resistance. Arterial resistance increase lead to decrease in the flow of blood. So whenever the flow of blood is decreased, hydrostatic pressure here will decrease, leading to decrease in the GFR. This situation is showing the condition when the efferent arteriolar resistance is increasing, but not to a significant degree, as a result of which the obstruction is not complete. The flow of blood is obstructed but not completely, so blood will move out but with less flow. As a result of which there remains fluid will be stagnated in this area, and the hydrostatic pressure here will increase, leading to increase in the GFR. And when the condition is severe efferent arteriolar resistance, if there is severe increase in the efferent arteriolar resistance, the flow of blood across the efferent arteriole is completely obstructed, as a result of which the fluid gets completely stagnated here in this particular area. With the back pressure effect, renal blood flow will ultimately decrease because no fresh blood can come from this side, and as a result this fluid keep on collecting here, leading to increase in the glomerular capillary colloid pressure, and with the increase in this glomerular colloid pressure, GFR will ultimately decrease. So these are very important things to remember and must to remember, I must say this thing. Now moving on to the next determinant, that is glomerular capillary colloid pressure. Colloid pressure is due to plasma proteins. And we have discussed that as the blood will pass from afferent end to the efferent end, there will be increase in the colloid pressure because of the retention of the plasma proteins and filtration of the fluid across the capillary surface. Two things which can change, which can alter the glomerular capillary colloid pressure are: first, the arterial plasma colloid osmotic pressure. Whenever there is overall increase in the arterial plasma colloid osmotic pressure, that will be reflected to the increased colloid osmotic pressure in the renal arteries and of course in the glomerular capillaries, which will reduce the GFR. On the other hand, another important factor that is going to affect the glomerular capillary colloid osmotic pressure is again the filtration fraction. I have already talked about filtration fraction. Whenever the filtration fraction will increase, that is amount of plasma which is filtered will increase, the fluid which is filtered more and more will lead to more concentration of proteins in the capillaries, leading to rise in the glomerular capillary colloid pressure. So whenever the filtration fraction increase, there will be increase in the glomerular capillary colloid pressure, leading to decrease in the GFR. So this is the next determinant. Now moving on to the third determinant, that is the Bowman's space hydrostatic pressure. So as we all know that once the fluid gets filtered across the capillaries, it moves into the Bowman space, and the fluid in the Bowman space creates a pressure which is known as the Bowman space hydrostatic pressure. But since the flow is not obstructed, the tubules, the flow of fluid in the tubules is not obstructed, therefore this pressure is very minimal. But under certain conditions, when you as you can imagine, conditions when there are renal stones which are obstructing the outflow of the urine, this obstruction will ultimately, from obstruction to outflow of urine, will cause back pressure effects, ultimately blocking the pelvis and then blocking the nephron segments, tubular segments, and will be reflected as a raised pressure in the Bowman's capsule. So Bowman's capsular pressure will rise in such a condition, and whenever the Bowman's capsular hydrostatic pressure will rise, it is going to decrease the GFR. So this explains the third determinant of our glomerular filtration rate. The fourth determinant, that is Bowman's space colloid pressure, is almost negligible because proteins are not filtered and they will not reach into the Bowman's space. Whatever proteins which appear in urine in traces are just the proteins which are shed from the tubular epithelial cells. That they are not the plasma proteins which gets filtered across the glomerular membrane. So no protein gets filtered, and we have very less, not in trace amount of this Bowman's space colloid pressure. So with this, I end with my PowerPoint presentation of glomerular filtration. I hope I am clear with the definition, with the values, and of course the factors and the determinants of the glomerular filtration rate. So go through the PPTs, go to the study materials, and whatever will your queries you will put up, you can put up your queries. We will discuss it, and I will give you the explanation as when required. So thank you for now. Take care.